It is time for a mid-year book tag, or like a 2026 mid-year wrap-up. So we've reached the end of June and I have read 34 books so far. Let's just dive right into it. The best book that I've read so far in 2026, Alchemised. This has become my god tier book. I have 4 copies of this book, which is excessive, I know. I have not had a book made me feel this way in so long. Perhaps not since like Twilight when I was, I don't know, 13 or whatever age I was. If you've read it, you know. It's just such a tragic story. Let's be honest, it's a big trauma bond that you go through with Helena and Cain. It's so bittersweet. It is so, I don't have any other words to describe it. It's tragically bittersweet and is the only book that has made me cry so far this year. I love this book so much that I am actually getting a tattoo in a few weeks, inspired by Alchemised. That's how serious it is. I do have to say that I think if you're not already a Hermione fan, this won't hit as hard. But I know some people are not Harry Potter fans, not Hermione fans, and they still love this book. Is it thick? Yeah, it is. It's 1,000+ pages. I think it's like 1,024, at least this version is. It's not for the faint of heart. Do I think that it could have been shortened just a tad? Maybe, yeah. But I still loved every minute of it, honestly. And I do plan on doing a reread very soon where I'm going to read part 2, 1, and then 3 and see how that changes the reading experience. And now the worst book that I've read in 2026 so far. It kind of hurts me to say this a little bit, but The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. I wanted to like this book so much. I really, really did. I think it was just purely because I've heard such good things about this book. My expectations were a little bit too high and it just fell short when I read the book, and I think I rated it like a 2.5 star, which is very sad for me to say because I feel like anything below a 3 is considered not great. It just dragged on and I wasn't very interested in the characters. I wasn't really interested in the story. Something just wasn't working for me. Now, the best sequel that I've read so far is Ignite Me and Restore Me. Now, if you've watched my ranking video of the Shatter Me series, I know I ranked Ignite Me pretty low. But to be honest, when I look back and think about why my thought process was like that, it's because I read these two back to back. I read most of the series back to back within 2 weeks. These stories just kind of melded together for me, but it was like the bridge between this book and this book. And by the end of this book, I was like, holy shit. Like, what is going on? This story just took a huge turn and I loved it. I love this series so much. It's such a fast read, so digestible, and it keeps you interested the entire time you're reading it. I even devoured the new series, the one focusing on James, the one that's set 10 years later. And we've got the 3rd book coming out in September, so I'm excited for that. The worst sequel that I've read so far in 2026, The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is part of the From Blood and Ash series, and this is one that I tried. I really tried. I made it to book 3 and decided can't do it anymore because it became more smut than plot. And while I am so happy for Poppy and Castile's libido, I don't really want to read about it anymore. Now, an honorable mention, let's be clear, the Fracture Me novella. So if you don't know, this novella actually contains 2 novellas, but the Fracture Me novella, I didn't care for it at all, purely because it's Adam's point of view, and no one really cares about Adam, unfortunately. I feel bad for the guy. He was there for the plot. You know, he was there just to move the story along, to help the story and build on the characters. But the novellas, I always say, are not essential to the series, but it definitely adds a lot of perspective to the story. Now, a new release that I'm very excited to read that I haven't read yet is Yesteryear by Carol Claire Burke. It's the one that everyone's talking about right now. I just read Yellowface, which I heard is very similar in terms of like unlikable FMCs, unlikable main characters. So I'm very excited to read Yesteryear. I just haven't gotten around to it. I'll get to it at some point, but I've heard nothing but amazing things and just 5 stars all around. Now, my most anticipated reads for the second half of the year, I have several. Let's go through them in the order of release date. Number 1 is Taipei Story by R.F. Kuang. I have been on an R.F. Kuang kick. She is one of my new favorite authors. Taipei Story, I don't even know what it's about, but I'm going to read it. I'm gonna read it. That one comes out September 7th. And then we have a memoir coming out by Ki Hui Kwan. It's called Never Say Die, very in line with his Goonies origins. I just love when cool people write memoirs. He's like the definition of inspiring, right? And I'm very excited to read his memoir. Memoirs are my favorite type of nonfiction read, and I can't wait to read that one. His book comes out September 14th. And of course, third new release that I am very excited for, Not Book 4 by Rebecca Yarros. This is the Empyrean series. We don't even know what kind of book we're getting yet. My guess is, just from the hints that she has dropped on social media so far, getting some sort of Riddick novella. That's my latest theory, because she said that it's going to be something that we are not really expecting. I am 99% sure that it's going to be a novella, because there's no way that it's like a cookbook or something. But just from her last post recently about Riddick, I think it's a Riddick novella. I don't know what about, but Riddick is going to be in it in some way, shape, or form. We all know that Rebecca likes to play with our hearts, so we'll see. And that one comes out September 28th. Now, on the same day, we're also getting the third book in the Shatter Me Series 2, Escape Me by Tara Mafi. I'm so excited for that one. I'm so excited. And then lastly, one of my favorite authors, Marie Lu, is releasing a new YA novel in October. It's called Mortal Things. I don't even know what it's about. I don't care. I'm reading it. She is an auto-buy author for me. I've already pre-ordered it. My biggest surprise read of the year was The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. This absolutely blew me away, especially for a debut author. If you haven't read this, you need to read it now. And the story centers around our FMC Wei, who is a concubine to a really cruel prince, and she sets out to learn how to read and write in order to perform magic, in order to kill the prince. I didn't really know where the ending was going to go. The way that it wrapped up made so much sense, and it was perfect. The things that you feel, the character development and everything, you slowly learn about all of your characters and why they are the way they are. The magic system is super unique as well. It's called literomancy, so all the magic is based on words and poems. Very, very unique. Despite what the cover may look like or what the marketing may say, it is not a romantasy. It's really not a romantasy, not even a romance, to be honest. This is the only book so far that I've read after Alchemised that I was like, wow. Wow, 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 wow. 5 freaking stars. Maybe even 6. It's just so well done. So well done. If that doesn't make you pick up the book, read it. Please go read this. And then an honorable mention is Yellowface. This also was a very big surprise. I didn't think that I was going to like this as much. I rated it a 4-star after I finished it. Then I sat with it for a minute and was like, wait, no. This is a 5-star read. This is absolutely a 5-star read. People say that they didn't like this book because the FMC was insufferable, unrelatable, blah, blah, whatever. That's the whole point. If you didn't understand that, then I question your reading comprehension skills. Like, I also don't think that this is a satire like some people say it is, because there are actually people out there that are like this. Our main character is June/Juniper. She is, of course, a white woman, and she watches her Asian friend Athena in her home, and then proceeds to steal Athena's literary works and publish them as her own. The caucasity, as my friend would say, is insane. It's insane. And one more honorable mention for biggest surprise of the year is a nonfiction read. It is a memoir. It's called What My Bones Know by Stephanie Fu. It is a memoir about complex PTSD, specifically geared towards the experience of being a child of an immigrant family. Such a mind-blowing memoir. I loved every minute of it. I did the audiobook, which I think made the experience even better. She also put some excerpts from her therapy sessions into the audiobook, which I thought was so interesting. Highly recommend. I would say it's like the cousin of Crying in H Mart, but the very disturbed, traumatized version of it. And as I said earlier, my new favorite author is R.F. Kuang. I've only read these 2 books of hers so far, but she's already become a favorite, especially considering these are 2 very different genres of books that are equally philosophical and thought-provoking, and I just can't get enough. I'm slowly making my way through all of these, and I'm waiting for the collector's edition of The Burning God to release later this year before I buy it, because of course I needed the special editions. We'll see. I'm very much a mood reader, but I think I'm gonna read the Poppy War before I read Babel, but we'll see. And my newest fictional crush is Kenji Kishimoto. Wow. I love Aaron Warner. I really do. But Kenji has my heart. Oof. Yeah. Kenji. Tahara Mafi said that we are getting more of him and Nazira in the next book, which I'm so excited. I can't wait to read that. I'm literally getting goosebumps just thinking about that right now. Yeah. Kenji. I wonder who's going to play him in the movie. If you didn't already hear, Warner Brothers has optioned the Shatter Me series as a movie for theatrical release. Moving on. A book that made me cry. None. That's a lie. No. Alchemised did make me cry at the end. As I was just sitting there staring at a wall processing, the tears just came. I started rereading some of the pages at the end and then just tears started coming out, but I didn't sob. You know, like I'm still looking for a good book cry because I have not had a good book cry probably since Liam in Fourth Wing. I read 9 months ago. So I'm very overdue. I even read this, The Song of Achilles, and this was recommended to me as a book that would make me cry. It didn't. I think I'm broken. I might just be broken. I don't know. It didn't make me cry. Was I hit in the gut and I felt all the feelings for our characters? Yeah, I did. Still didn't make me cry. So if you have suggestions, put them in the comments. Let me know. And now, here's a book that made me very happy. Believe me, I didn't realize that so many people didn't like this book. I loved this novella. It is such a heartwarming tribute to Aaron. This felt like the perfect ending to series 1, in my opinion. Honestly, it just made me feel so warm and fuzzy inside after reading this. And this is the only book in the whole entire series that has a little bit of smut, where it's just a little bit more explicit. I understand there's some spice in the rest of the series, but this is truly the only one that has smut. Now moving on to the most beautiful book that I've bought this year. First is the Fabled Press rebind of Alchemised. Just look at this beauty. Look at how deliciously gorgeous this is. It is a faux leather bound book. And it's handmade, I believe, in the UK. I probably messaged Fabled Press like 2 or 3 times, just kind of begging a little bit to get off of the waitlist early. And they also shipped it out like a month earlier than I expected. This is one of my most prized possessions. Also, this is the most expensive book that I've ever bought. This is staying with me forever. I also love this version of Blood Over Bright Haven, also one of my favorite books. I love the sprayed edges here. It's so gorgeous. I love when artists are just so good at what they do. Like, look at that art. Emma Wong is also another auto-buy author for me. So, and now our last one is, what books do I need to read by the end of the year? I'm literally halfway through this book. And then I'm going to move on to Throne of Glass after I finish the entire ACOTAR series, but it's going to take me a minute because there's so many books. There are so many books. Thoughts so far on ACOTAR? I think because I know that it's so popular, my expectations are really high, which is kind of unfortunate because I don't like going into books with super high expectations because more than likely it's gonna fall short. That's exactly what's happening to this book right now. Although I do hear that things don't really pick up until the second book, which I don't like it when books do that. The first book should be gripping enough for me to want to keep reading, right? I hope the second half of this will do that for me. I'm still gonna read the rest of the series purely because I just wanna know what the hype is all about. I want to understand. I have FOMO. And if I'm being quite honest, I am reading this out of FOMO because I am not even a fan of Fae. Although I do love that the Fae is very different in this series. Like, they're shapeshifters. That's cool. So I do enjoy that aspect. So far, this is giving a very much Beauty and the Beast, and every single time that I read about Tamlin retracting his claws, I just think of Wolverine, or like when you push on a cat's paw and it does this. And then the only thing that I know about this book is that Tamlin is not endgame. I know Rhysand is our book boyfriend, and Tamlin is apparently trash. I don't know why he's trashed yet, but I'll get there. And then I also hear that Throne of Glass is much better than ACOTAR. And Throne of Glass is like everyone's Roman Empire. So again, I need to know why. I need to know what the hype is about. But also, I'm very scared because is this overhyped? Are people overhyping it? Am I going to go into this with super high expectations? Yes. And is that going to ruin the reading experience for me? I hope not. But maybe. So there's my 2026 mid-year wrap up. Let me know if you've read any of these books. I would love to know your thoughts on them. Also, let me know if you have a recommendation for a book that will make me cry, because I am so overdue for a good book cry. I have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid and You've Reached Sam by Dustin Tao on my physical TBR. Those have been suggested to me as books that will make me cry, so I'm hoping I will get to those probably sometime in the next couple months. But if you have other suggestions, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.